Okay. I should get the mouse as well. Oh, this has been Beyond the Stars, episode 2.
We
Based
talked
on
about it.
Clear Skies, episode 2.
Technically,
So
episode 1.
Then we had 0, then 1, then 2.
No, it's Clear Skies episode 1. We had prologue and then episode 1. So this is Beyond the Stars episode 2, based on Clear Skies episode 1. You're not going to system shit.
No.
Yes!
No.
Yes!
No.
Eric was titling the prologue episode 1. It was episode 1 colon prologue, and then episode 2 colon the stage is set.
I'm pretty sure at the start of this episode he said technically that was the prologue and this is episode 1. Pretty sure that was exactly what he said at the start of the stage is set. You want to fucking fight me, Kato? I'm allowed to say fuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops.
But also,
So, to reiterate, as this will be the only surviving VOD on Twitch, I am Mitch. That's a Az.
Hello, I'm not sick this week.
And in the middle is a Kato.
Isn't it delightful to have me back?
yeah, I'm also known as Kato sometimes.
Sometimes, occasionally, aka Kato.
It's
Yeah, and hope.
Kato goes undercover and as an assassin, and then the dramatic reveal at the end, it's like, the assassin you knew as Kato was really me, Kato, all along, and everyone's like, how could we not see this coming?
Exactly.
What have we done?
Hopefully we are back, and hopefully you can talk to us. Can I throw another spanner into the works of the numbering system? So this is the 3rd episode of our show. This is episode 2 of our show, because our first episode was episode 0.
Yeah.
But in fact, we had an episode just now that was entirely tech issues. So I'm going to say that this episode should be episode 4, because that was episode 3. That was all disaster tech. This is episode 4.
But
Episode
then
3.
Then we'll have 2 episodes
Disaster
talking
tech.
about episode 2.
Yes.
When we get affiliate, disaster tech episodes can be subscriber only.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
That would be delightful.
Oh man. It seems like we're still
Right.
skipping frames, but it's a lot better than what it was. So we'll just have to
Yeah.
carry on.
We'll cope.
You'll just
So,
have to scream in chat, and we will get to you as soon as the buffering/lag tells us to, which will be so far in the future.
Absolutely. So let's actually talk about Clear Skies rather than ourselves for a little bit.
Hooray.
So, the stage is set, episode 2. What is the stage set for, Kato?
Well, for the whole of Clear Skies, and for future entanglements with Romulans, intrigue, discussion, hopefully some stuff happening in the Shackleton Expanse, and some stuff happening on the USS Ross, neither of which we've really kind of got into yet, because this has all been some build-up.
Yeah, one would hope that stuff does happen in the Shackleton Expanse. Can you imagine if we just get there and it's dead space for a month, and then we come back and it's like, well, that was boring.
Yeah,
it's
roll credits.
It's not quite the moon's haunted energy. It's just like, oh, you're back, NASA. Oh, you're back early.
Yeah,
the moon is the opposite of haunted. There was nothing there.
It was there. We explored. Time for
Shackleton's boring. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Shackleton's boring. Goes for a nap.
Reloads Twitter.
So yeah, Bonnie's back. I'm excited.
Bonnie's here, not back. First time we've seen Bonnie in character.
Okay, well, yes, technically, but yay, we've got a Bonnie finally. Bonnie is also returned from sickness.
When will my Bonnie return from sickness?
Today.
Apparently.
Actually, it was last week.
It
was
was
last week. The next episode is tomorrow. But Bonnie has returned and has adorable cat paws and cat ears. I admire the dedication.
For sure.
The commitment. We will get into Mackrell, Bonnie's amazing chief medical officer, in a little bit. Before we get into the plot itself, though, I do want to say, while our fans are really cool, and not our fans, while the fans of Clear Skies,
for sure,
and I count myself among them, are really cool as far as the support that's been shown, the really incredible amount of fan art that's come out of just the past couple of episodes.
The fan art is so good.
There's been some really great RP work on Eric's Patreon Discord. There's a huge amount of enthusiasm. There's been a lot.
It's been great.
Sorry, that's an in-joke, is that I hate modding RP channels. And if anyone else here is a meme lord and is aware of the Buy My Silence for $8,000 a month, I will stop. There was a version of that posted in the mod chat, which is buy my moderation for $8,000 a month. I will moderate RP. So now we do actually have the thing that if Eric gets to $8,000 a month, I have to moderate RP. I have no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
obviously.
Mostly the RP is very good, and people are really nice and fun and kind and really thoughtful. So
Yeah,
it doesn't
because-
need much moderation.
There was a message in Eric's stream a while ago which said that there's been like 7,000 messages already in the RP channels, which is wild.
Which is why I just want to remind everyone, if you happen to be part of Eric's Patreon Discord and you happen to be in the RP, please remember that there is a lot of content. The mods cannot read everything. They cannot be present for every incident. So if there is a problem, not that I expect there will be, but if there is, you have to let us know. At us if there is a question. At us if there is an issue, because we will absolutely be there. We want to have your backs, but we also don't want to be policing your RP for every little like minor incident. And we really just want to make sure that you guys have a fun time.
For sure.
But
we're not here to talk about that.
Yes. We are here to talk about...
Those wacky Romulans.
Oh, classic.
I love Romulans so much, and this is
Oh.
exactly why I love Romulans. The sort of shenanigans that we get to have with sort of space and spying and Romulus is really, really fun.
I love how much you love the Romulans and despise Section 31.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
love this
yeah.
incredibly intelligence ridiculousness from the Romulans.
I hate Section 31 because Section 31 distracts from the core issues of Starfleet. So Starfleet has a lot of concerns, and Starfleet is not a perfect system. It's not like the Federation is not perfect, and all of the problems that exist in Starfleet as a whole are sort of epitomized by Section 31. So the lack of oversight, the sort of amorality, the ability to sort of do anything just for the sort of purpose of just achieving safety for the Federation. And by pushing that all onto a no oversight organization that is not really entwined with the core government structure, you get to dodge a lot of key issues about who's responsible, whether or not our heroes are complicit in those kinds of actions. And particularly by sort of the second season of Discovery, what I found is that Section 31 is kind of used as a get-out clause of like, oh no, these guys who are evil, they're not really the Federation, so it's fine that they're doing bad things.
Deus Ex Section 31.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hesitance. There's a lot of hesitance to engage with the core problems of Starfleet because you can just project all of those onto Section 31, and that ignores like the colonialist aspect of Starfleet as a whole and the problems with Starfleet as a whole, particularly as far as like the academy and the sort of like the training structure for commanders and like lots and lots of flaws are diverted to Section 31. The Romulan spying operations, and to be fair, like I really like Starfleet intelligence, just not the bit of Starfleet intelligence that is Section 31. The Romulans, on the other hand, are not meant to be heroes, so therefore you can delight in how evil they are. They are complicated. They can have all of this intrigue and politicizing sort of them because they are not meant to be heroic. And it doesn't matter, and nobody tries to say, oh, well, the Tal Shiar are evil, so the rest of Romulus is fine. Nobody uses the Tal Shiar and the way that Romulans spy to deflect from problems within the Romulan core government.
No, it's the Romulans are evil, and the Tal Shiar is just even more evil.
Evil plus.
Yeah.
Monthly subscription package to
Evil
Evil.
Premium.
Yeah. And they're fun. And nobody tries to pretend that they're not evil. And like I love a good and Star Trek is particularly good at the unapologetic British villain. Like some of the best Cardassians are just kind of these beautiful, deep, complex, characters that are also, they don't shy away from the fact that they are just straight up like, yeah, murder for the good of my country. I'm doing this. Bam. And that is
they would mustache twirl if they had mustaches.
Yeah. And the Romulans have such a classic look, like the sharpness of their hair, the beautiful like geometric designs.
They are made of triangles.
They are indeed made of triangles.
I completely
get surgery, then they're a little bit less made of triangles.
Yeah, okay. We have gone very much off topic. My favorite I want to sort of get back to the Romulans we actually see in this episode because like the epitome of what I love about Romulans is like obvious Star Trek plot twists where you can see coming from a mile off the kind of the dun-dun-dun, particularly when you kind of watch a lot of TNG and Deep Space Nine and Voyager back to back. There's a very specific sort of story structure and style that those have. And it gets to the point where if you've seen enough episodes, you can go, oh, well, this is the twist. Which doesn't make the twist coming any less fun if it's a good episode, because you're just enjoying watching those plots play out in a good way.
Yeah.
It's like how rom-coms are inevitable. When you have that kind of like, oh, these guys, of course they're gonna fall in love, and of course,
gotta hit those
they have a
beats.
mistaken first meeting, and then they fall in
hate
love, and they
each
slowly
other
like
and-
grow.
Michael
Yeah,
Cera
yeah.
fans. It's also like fanfic
Yeah.
tropes. It's like the amount of times I've read a fanfic where it's like an AU or something where they're like buddy cop partners and they go to a hotel and they're like, I'm sorry, there's been a mix-up and you're in a room with only one bed. And I'm
Yeah.
having read hundreds of these, I'm like, oh, but what are they gonna do? There's only one bed. Will they share it? One of them's clearly gonna offer to sleep on the floor, and the other's gonna say, don't be stupid. We're adults. We can handle this. But they can't, Kato. They can't.
And then they wake up cuddling each other, which is the most important bit. Is the
Oh.
is the person
Exactly.
is the person who wakes up and is like, oh, I love being in this person's arms. I feel so like safe and warm. But it's also wrong because they wouldn't want this, even though they clearly like got involved in this. And am I like imposing on them? And then they feel guilty. Yeah. Anyway,
All right,
the
children,
point is,
roll back.
the point I was trying to make is that even sort of well played out classic tropes, if you're watching someone who knows the genre and is telling a good story with them, the fact that it is cliche or predictable shouldn't ruin your enjoyment of a story. And that is exactly why when the officially dead Romulan was declared officially dead, and you got that kind of like, and now we're watching on the Holo channels, like news reports saying Anna Romulan was killed or a spy, you were instantly like, that Romulan's not dead.
Not dead.
No way is that
Absolutely not
Romulan dead.
Okay.
And then
we had two people, so both Mike and Helen were watching, and me and Mitch just sat there immediately going, "It's not dead." And Mike particularly, when it said died in custody, Mike was like, "What?" And I was like, "Give it like 5 seconds. That
Yeah.
Romulan will be very much alive."
Yeah, and I loved the way they played out the like, and here's the holovids, and then smash cut to you're in the like high security hospital, and this Romulan is not dead. It's like, yes, good, brilliant. That's exactly how you should do it. If you have a plot twist that is that kind of obvious, and to people who are familiar with the way that these structures work, that is that kind of obvious, you don't draw it out. You don't waste time going, oh no, everyone's sad because dead. You just go, nope, everyone is going to see this twist coming a mile off. Let's get it out of the way and let's move on to the rest of the story. And so I really enjoyed just that moment. I was like, oh yeah, good. This is the pacing you want. This is exactly how you want to play off that plot twist, is to have it really quickly resolve.
Yeah, by virtue of it, because it's so cliche, it almost at this point is no longer a plot twist. And so you're just like, yep, good, let's move on. He's not dead. Everyone else thinks he is, but probably there's a lot of people going, he's clearly not dead.
And we do move on to to a more familiar kind of admiral.
Kane.
You've done it again.
God damn it, Kato.
What have you done?
Australianisms.
Oh no.
McCain is a brand of potato chip manufacturer.
We have
Baked goods.
McCain, with McCain.
Yeah. So the classic Australian advert ends with just, McCain, you've done it again.
Oh, it's terrible.
Which is so the brass broadly have concerns. This is what I'm calling this sort of like plot element, is just everyone in the brass is concerned about spies. And McCain is an angry Peter Dinklage. I can't get away from Peter Dinklage as my face cast.
I want to address this.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Just because you only know one actor with dwarfism
Warwick
in
Davis.
the public light. Yeah, like I'm not more talking in general because a lot of people don't know.
Dwarfism? Was
Yes,
that specified?
he was described as a little person, slightly over 3 feet tall.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I somehow missed that entirely. Because my headcanon, my face claim for him this entire time, for some bizarre reason, has been Colin McCree.
Sure. But it's more the explore.
No, I completely agree with that. I was frustrated by how I was conscious that I couldn't really get away from it. Like how kind of like the sort of the like the angriness, I could really see Peter Dinklage doing a lot with that. And it's really unfair to Warwick Davis, who like is also an incredible actor. Yeah. Broadly, I will concede to beyond those two names.
Yeah.
I'm completely useless.
And it is it is a problem in modern media, but
I would be curious about kind of like where the inspiration came from, because I really enjoyed going, oh yeah, I can kind of see Peter Dinklage and sort of seeing how how Eric moved from just okay, that's the face claim to developing him as like a character in his own right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoy an angry admiral. They're another like
great.
fun trope. It's so sort of perfect to have, particularly in Star Trek that is kind of playing off those 18th century sort of like British naval novels vibe, to have this like, well, the Admiralty are difficult and obstructive and they don't understand the realities of life on the front, and they're they're significantly more British than anyone else and they're annoying. And I like having that slight antagonism, even if it's fun to have friendly admirals like Ree. I do enjoy a classic Star Trek obstructive and annoying admiral, like all of the ones in TNG. Yeah.
For some reason, there's some real, for me, like J. Jonah Jameson vibes coming from McCain. Not quite in that kind of anger. It's like, get me pictures of Section 31.
Yeah. The next note I have is just that everyone hates Section 31.
Good.
Exactly.
I'm so glad this is a crew that despises them as much as UK do.
I relate very hard to everyone who's like, Section 31, they're awful, they have all the problems Kato just discussed, blah, 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 no oversight.
Absolutely
blah, blah,
sniffing around.
Causing trouble, being annoying, being superior, thinking that because they don't have to make difficult moral choices because they can just kill everyone, that makes them better than everyone else.
I think the one thing I want to point out from the interactions with the Admiral and specifically Azri is that kind of awareness of the Admiralty's lack of ability to keep promises.
Oh yeah. I really enjoyed like Azri's way of relating to command, and the way that they have of sort of talking, and the way that they have fun within a command structure. But I really enjoyed the like, this will be the last time, and just the kind of consensus that no one in the room believes that. Yeah. He doesn't believe what he's saying. Ree doesn't believe it. Azri doesn't believe it. No one believes this at all. But it is a classic, like, you must go through the motions. You must say these words, even if everyone knows.
Yeah, it's very much this will be the last time, narrator. It was absolutely not the last time.
Yeah. That's pretty much the wordless conversation between Azri and Ree was, sure, Jan. We'll see how that goes.
But even phrases, I loved that phrase for like, none of the species in the Federation are oracles.
Oh,
it's such a
Sam.
I know, it's really tight, and it's also just a really beautiful way of going, don't make promises you can't keep, sir. You can't foresee this. You're not, and it's one of those sort of nice, within a sort of command structure, within that kind of like, you have to be polite. It's a really nice way of just going, nah, I see you. I see that this is not a thing you can promise. Don't promise me stuff you can't deliver on.
Sure.
It's a really beautiful sort of clap back, I guess.
And it was repeated. That's. Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love a little bit of a repeating phrase. And it's nice to see that maybe Azri has those kind of captainly sayings that they're going to bring out for the crew. No species in the Federation is an oracle is a really nice phrase to say to your juniors as well. If you have a junior who's going, oh my goodness, Captain, I'm really sorry. I didn't anticipate that we'd need, transporter buffers, or I didn't anticipate that we'd need to like recalibrate our sensors, or I didn't realize there was a Romulan cloaked in that nebula. Whatever the thing is, to gently be like, yeah, that's okay. No one in the Federation can predict the future. Relax. Don't expect yourself to have that. It's a really beautiful phrase that's going to have a lot of use, I think, and I'd love to see it come back and back. The other thing that happens,
studying at the altar of Amy Dallin.
I don't think you study at altars. I fully believe that there's a lot of, you interact with a good crew long enough, you pick up tricks of the trade from them. I don't think studying is what you do at altars, my dude.
What of it, punk?
Can we talk about Hebert, who
who's having a terrible time?
Oh,
really
terrible, horrible, very bad day.
Well, very bad months. Hebert is.
Oh, sorry, continue.
she's such a good character. I really love the way Hebbet and Kargan were characterized during Shield of Tomorrow. Obviously, Hebbet and Kargan, if you're not familiar with them, there are a couple of characters that have been really built out during Star Trek Adventures kind of living campaign stuff and the stuff that is built into Narendra Station. So they are characters that anyone can use that are statted, I believe, in the core Star Trek Adventures book.
Yeah.
And so we saw them in Shield of Tomorrow, but they're not Shield of Tomorrow copyright, which is how we get to see them again now.
But I think we will be seeing different versions of those characters.
Who've lived different lives,
Yeah.
certainly, and have not gone through some of the events that happen on Narendra Station in Shield of Tomorrow. But who knows?
The very bad, no good things that happened on Narendra Station.
Yes, indeed. See Shore Leave for episodes of Shield you might want to catch up on. But one of the key kind of things Hebbet is chiming in to say is, so apparently we're meant to have an embassy from Romulus on Narendra Station. And this is going to cause just all the tension with the Klingons. All the tension with the Klingons. And the Federation is going to be stuck in the middle trying to sort of mediate that. And I like that Hebbet is going, yeah, so the Federation thinks somehow they and the Romulans together and to all, one big happy family around. And Hebbet's just going, no, this is not going to work. This is a bad plan. But if you can't have the embassy on the station, I mean, that's a big shame. I can't think of anywhere else you could put a large number of Romulan ambassadors. It would be a shame if, say, a large vessel with a huge diplomatic fleet was maybe headed in that direction, and you could stick an embassy on that.
Right. That doesn't sound right, Kato.
No, that sounds very, very wrong. Sounds fake. So I can see absolutely no use for Ambassador Olin Majid-Neal out there.
They're just gonna have a nice time.
Yeah.
Out with patience.
It's gonna be like one big holiday on Risa for Olin, which is really excited. I'm pleased for them. They deserve to be able to enjoy exploring with none of the pressures or demands of their job.
Yeah, we need a relaxing beach episode.
Yeah. Well, I'm expecting that to be Olin just the whole time. Like, Olin is a character who has no plot, and there's definitely no diplomatics or intrigue or Romulans going on. Absolutely nothing. It's just, oh yeah, I'm in the holodeck on the beach. The ship is getting attacked by some aliens, or there's a transporter malfunction, or like the warp core's about to explode, but Olin's just there, chilling, really relaxing. Because, yeah, obviously, they're not going to put the Romulan embassy on the Ross. That would be silly. They're not going to have Romulan ambassadors on the Ross. No use. No use for Ambassador
Majid-Neal. It's not like they're going to put a Romulan spy on board.
No. Absolutely nothing. Nothing to do.
Don't be absurd.
Why would they do that?
Spy? A Romulan spy? The Romulan spy's dead. He was died in custody.
Yeah, absolutely. That Romulan spy is dead.
Mm-hmm. I would like to just state for the record now, at this point, I a little bit maybe shipped Hebbet and Kargan, the Klingon and Federation leads for Narendra Station. I maybe shipped them a little bit last time that we had thought about them. And I, just as an update for you all, I still very much ship them now.
Surprisingly,
very much.
No one.
Well, it's a headship. That's unusual for Kato.
So the animated Star Trek the animated series like 2-frame meme of James Kirk, just like, and it's the one where it's like you have to pretend to be shocked. It's like, that's me right now. I'm like, oh no, Kato, what a surprise! No one could see this coming.
I think the one thing to circle back to get back on track a little bit is Admiral McCain at the end of the episode absolutely just ringing the entire crew out. And then Ree and Sol just being like, yeah, that's normal. That's just standard intelligence stuff. We did a bad whoopsie.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh no, we're so very bad. Oh no. Oh, we'll never do this again. I promise. Sorry. Oh no. Whoops, my bad.
Oh no, you're going to get a commendation from the president for saving lots of lives and getting lots of information. We're so sorry that we sorted that out for you.
Oh, we're sorry we made you a fucking hero.
The you're welcome from Ree was probably my favorite. Just like, yeah, we did all this for you. You're welcome.
And understandably. McCain's just like, fucking hate intelligence. Fucking.
Well, yeah, they're better than Section 31 intelligence, and they do a
Oh,
good
yeah.
and useful job. I really like. I just want to highlight after it's all done and everyone has left, Azuri stays behind so that they can give Rhea a hug, just a little one, and just like, oh yes, a physically affectionate captain who's not afraid of sort of relationships and being kind of open with their like affection. It's just like
It
yes.
is amazing. It's so good. I love Azri.
Yeah, but also classic captain hiding all of that affection from your crew and not
Oh,
showing that
absolutely.
vulnerability or that weakness.
No.
I see you, Azuri. You're so relatable.
We all see you.
Yep.
So we had a bit of a plan for this episode from the crew, which was taking all the information on this definitely not dead spy, and specifically the chip that helps hide them from empaths and telepaths, which was a very fascinating bit of technology coming from Romulus.
Fancy.
Yeah,
But
but something
also-
that Federation has also maybe worked on a little bit.
It's almost like they have a lot of empathetic and telepathic species in their midst. But before that, before we even start executing the plan to garner all that information, my son was given a directive.
Oh no.
And my son was told to cause problems on purpose.
Peace was never an option!
It is an incredibly insightful bit of leadership,
It really
making
was.
use of all your assets. I have a whole chat I want to get into about the different styles of leadership we see on display from our little command team this episode, but I am all about Mr. off-camera trouble causing. Oh, I hacked into a shuttle with bad codes and I landed it in the middle of a really high security place, and I'm definitely not in any way in any trouble for that.
Nope.
A+ use of resources.
Yeah.
That is
Looking for trouble, and if I cannot find any, I will make some.
it is so important to make use of your crew and their abilities. I was working on a ship once, and we had very tragically we had a death on board in the middle of the night. Really tragically. And one of my colleagues,
I feel like I just unlocked the level 5 character backstory.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's tragedy.
And one of my
approval rating's
colleagues
gone enough up for me to ask questions about Kato's history.
Don't bring your dragon agent to this. This is Star Trek.
Anyway, one of my colleagues, his day job when not on the boat was as an undertaker.
Oh,
And so
Jesus
he and I were we were sharing a cabin because and our cabin had a phone because they had to call us in the middle of the night if there were ship emergencies.
Yeah.
And so we got a call, and the call just it was from the captain. It's just like, Godfrey, I'm in need of your particular skills. And Godfrey was like, he got up and I was like, what mate, what's going on, do you need me to go up or anything? He's like, no, apparently they need my particular skills, so it'll be some stupid bit of sail handling or whatever that they need an expert in. And I was like, yeah, cool, give me a shout if you need a hand, we work together. And then he went up and they were like, so Godfrey, we need you to help us move a body. And he was like, oh, those skills, you mean those skills, I see.
This trip suddenly became 15 times more interesting.
Let me go get my shovel.
Yeah, and it was very much him. It was bless them, because they had a freezer that was out of use that they had to turn on and then get this person in to keep them
From
because
deteriorating.
Yeah, exactly. But they also had to not let anyone know that it had happened because you don't really want to bring down the mood. So there was a lot of just your most classic cartoon, stick your head out. Is anyone there? Okay, cool. No, all right, lads, quickly, come on, lift with the knee, bend at the knees, over the back, as they carry this. Yeah.
Did you also paint a tunnel on a wall and walk through it?
No, because while it was very cartoon-like, we were not actually cartoon characters. So yeah, you have to use the skills that your crew have. That's the point of that story, is you've got to make note of what your crew knows and make use of it.
And
sometimes that's bodies.
Knows how to make problems on purpose.
Well, it was actually really interesting from Ren to very upfront be like, in this situation, I'm no use to you. And Azra being like, but wait. What if you could be useful?
It was. So that was what Vren was doing. Meanwhile, Exio was just rounding up the entirety of the senior staff to bring with her on her
love
breaking
Exio.
and entering mission.
Exio is just like, oh, I have children now. Fantastic. It's like a mother goose with her little goslings.
Oh, absolutely.
So it actually goes remarkably smoothly. They can talk their way in, and then suddenly,
I mean,
Sorry, I've just seen chat, and someone has put Weekend at Bernie's 4 Fun at Sea.
I have so many sea stories, you guys.
we may just have a stream of Kato's sea stories.
It's really hard to remember all of them all of the time. But yeah, certainly I used to work. I used to work on boats, and I have a lot of boat stories. Mainly because you know how the Navy is like professional and full of competent people. That is not
No.
necessarily true of the Merchant Navy. Yeah, okay. You know how the Navy is full of people that are paid enough money to pretend that they care about their job?
Yes.
Vaguely.
Anyway, so actually, this plan goes really well.
It
Vren
does.
is used to the best of his ability. Exio kind of gets them in. They talk their way in. You know, they've got Macrel with them to sort of say, well, I need to do, you know, medical stuff. And then the compound gets shut down. And then Thek fails a hacking roll.
Bless that boy.
Oh, Tech is just Tech's nervousness throughout the whole engagement.
Oh, was it before this bit where Exio was like, "You're nervous. Is this gonna be a problem?"
Yeah, that was at the start when they were about to go in.
Like, you're really nervous, and your body language is gonna put other people off, and they're not gonna trust you. And it's like, oh my god, I'm sorry.
Gonna make me more nervous. Yeah, and it's really nice because we see how quickly Eric is able to sort of change the tables and everything. Because you know, Tech fails a hacking roll, so a phaser is drawn on him by one of the 2 security officers. So then Prahl jumps in as like, I love how quite overkill Prahl is with like, no, you don't draw phasers on my crew. They're my crew. How dare you? just one hit KO you know, in that way that punching someone in the head so hard that they are knocked out is definitely safe and good.
Definitely safe and good. We're also in the future with medical technology with the ability to replicate organs in literally minutes.
I'm just saying that Prahl is like Daredevil, where he goes around punching people and they get knocked out, but he never kills anyone.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't kill them. I just threw them down several flights of stairs, and everyone's like, should we tell him? No.
He never said he was fucking Batman.
But also the bit where he threatens a court-martial, and that poor kid just like pees his pants.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tops. I think the one thing I really like with Prahl is Eric bringing narrative from the mechanics. So the always watching talent, or always on guard, I can't remember the exact phrasing of the talent name, but he's playing that into the way that Prahl interacts with people, the way he stands and around and constantly is always like, no, I must be on guard. I must be ready.
Can we talk about Explorer?
Oh,
didn't make it out of the war. My god.
That was heartbreaking.
We absolutely can. I want to talk about it in a little bit though, because I just want to get like quickly through like the plot of what happens, and then we can talk about kind of all of the beautiful kind of implications of what happens afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wrote a document and I put some of this stuff in there, but later on.
I know, so I have ADHD and I read these things and then I'm like, well, my brain didn't process any of this.
Oh, man.
You're all good.
It's like one of those things where people are like, you did read it, and I'm like, yeah. And then not enough of them know to answer the second question of, did you process it? And I'm like, no.
Again from the top.
Sometimes. Anyway, so Exio like really quickly jump in. So they've drawn a phaser on Tech and then got sort of like whomped by Prahl. And Exio really quickly does this beautiful sort of moment of scratching at Tech to show that he's not going to bleed green like a Romulan would. And that's another beautiful moment of just kind of quick, decisive movement from our commander that I'm really about those kind of choices. She's really good at leading this crew. They make decisions really quickly. And it's like, yes, exactly. That's exactly what you need. And they shut down the combat before anything else happens. Another shot is fired. Unfortunately, then, another Romulan shows up. And again, we see like, oh no, you got this Romulan. And they just quickly go, great, Tech, force fields. And then Tech's like, yep, whoop, 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 whoop. oh, he's trapped in the force fields. And again, you can see them kind of quickly making decisions that are really smart and on it, and sort of shutting down combat before we can get into that heavy crunch, like rolling and attacking and how many effects and what damage do you do. Like, it actually is really beautiful use of the environment and the scenery and
also,
lots of plot elements.
And also very Trek.
Yeah.
Fights
Yeah.
don't last long in Trek.
No. I really like that there may not be many heavy security sort of rotation characters in the crew, but they're definitely using those other sort of abilities like command and engineering and really sort of bringing out lots of their other sort of skills in combat, which is really nice because I think there is a lot of potential to do that in the Star Trek combat system. It's really easy to be like, oh, I can punch and I can fire a phaser. And it's like, yes, absolutely you can, but the rules kind of accommodate lots of other sort of choices. Unfortunately, sort of for lots of reasons, the third Romulan, as soon as he realizes he's captured, he turns his weapon on himself, or they turn their weapon on themselves, and they just sort of go out with a final glory to Sela.
Oh, so you were right on the money with who was involved.
Well, she was foreshadowed last week, and I still feel bad about not anticipating that Sela was going to come up in the pre-episode, because really, I really should have like seen that.
Yeah, I can't believe this. Can't believe this, Kato.
Yeah, I'm a bad. What's that thing that Asbury was saying about the species in the Federation not being oracles?
We're not in the Federation, Kato. Are we?
No, I'm sorry.
Get it together.
I'll do better next time, you guys. No, so again, we're seeing that Tal Shiar kind of dedication to their leader, which again is really nice and plays a lot into the sort of the way the Romulan command structure works. So there is usually an emperor and a senate below the emperor, and there are sort of various praetors of various sort of groups. But the Tal Shiar, being the intelligence agency, being a little bit off to one side, they do have a tendency to have loyalty to their head as opposed to the emperor in some ways, you know.
Fanatically in this case.
Yeah, which is not necessarily surprising, and it is a very sort of classic intelligence move. It's quite a hard move as far as, you know, like obviously, you know, it's suicide from a minor character. There's lots of kind of reasons why it might kind of hit home, but I think that is very much a reality of the way that spy stories work, and the sort of the fanaticism.
How many times do you hear about the cyanide pill in the teeth? Like,
yeah, you know,
evil spies.
Yeah, these are classic tropes revisited and sort of made Star Trek in lots of ways. So instead of cyanide pills, it's now a really good leave no trace kind of weapon. But I certainly think they did really well, those guys. They got the data that they were looking for. They protected the Romulan asset, and they prevented any sort of further catastrophe. So even though there was some loss of life, and in fact a Federation loss of life, because I believe the Romulan managed to get one shot off and hit the remaining security person. So the one that Prowl one hit KO'd can probably be thankful that he was knocked out, and not wasn't alive long enough to face down a Romulan. But yeah, quite a successful mission for all that it had some cost.
I do want to highlight that for a moment there. We actually did revisit that moment at the end of the episode. With Ree saying that, go off, be heroes, I'll clean this up. I've got to go write a bereavement letter.
Yeah. I like that Star Trek makes death and keeps death important and necessary, and that Eric is sort of really working to say, well, no, like this kid, whoever they were, had a family and believed in what he was doing, but it's not that classic red shirt sort of, you know, what sort of random death that just passes and no one sort of talks about again. There's a lot of consequence to it, and there's a little bit of weight that I really like, and I like that we're kind of not easily dismissing death as just being inevitable or something that we should expect or just sort of overlook.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So then, would you like to talk about her?
Oh, we could talk about her. The USS Ross, first of her class. She is beautifully described by Eric as we have this ability to sort of see her on a shuttlecraft approach, which again, I love that cinematic moment when you go, they're going to see the ship for the first time. You know, you see it in multiple Star Trek sort of shows and episodes where you get those people cresting over that sort of bow. You have that shot looking down of the name and serial number, and you have that sort of beautiful intake of breath. And it was beautifully described, that moment, for Eric.
Wonderful.
And then we got onto the bridge, which is a very interesting design for a bridge. There are 4 seats on either side for auxiliary stations, probably science or op stations. There's a chair for tactical behind command, which is good. Let your tactical officer sit down. Maybe with a seatbelt, I don't know. And then that classic... Yeah, and then that classic Galaxy class arrangement to have the command staff in the front, and then science and helm sort of further forward, which is really beautiful. And we get some really beautiful moments of everyone kind of coming in, sitting down, finding their place. You know, not just sort of, you know, the classic bridge roles, so tactical and helm, but also getting Olin having that moment of feeling unsure, uncertain, or nervous, because as the counselor, they have Troy's place right beside the captain, to the captain's left, which is a huge sort of like position of power and responsibility and advice. And I like that we had this moment of Olin going, okay, oh, is that right? Yeah, okay. You get that nervousness and that sort of intimidation and that excitement.
It was great. And then we had definitely not Thomas Maroney.
Yeah.
Come in.
But can I take us back just one more second, because I have another bridge moment, which is Exio.
Oh.
Yeah. So we can get to the Denobulan. Exio getting contact and integrating fully with the Rossa systems and being able to take off the ring that is her mobile transmitter, and saying hi to her mum, who is definitely her mum, and no one is pretending in any way, shape, or form. And I love that for them. I'm so excited about that relationship. You have no idea. I love an emotionally repressed British mother.
I also love the bit where when Tech turns around and sees it and is like, "Don't worry, Doctor, we've got it." And I'm like, "Oh, my heart!" I loved
that
it
moment
so much. It was so good. It was
that
very
moment.
soft.
Yes.
I think it's all of those moments during takeoff. Whereas like engineering, science, con, and everyone's like chiming in beautifully, and I'm just like,
But also when Bonnie, it was McCrell just kind of didn't get it, and they're all going round, and then McCrell's like, "It's beautiful." Oh, I mean, yes, it's ready. I mean, what? Let's do it. Classic.
Yeah, I just want to like shout out to Xander in that moment, because I loved how supportive that felt to me. It was like a building kind of, it built the atmosphere and the ambiance and this idea that like, yes, the engineer is here, you know, sort of taking responsibility for Exio in some way and being like, yeah, we gotta, but it felt like the sort of the natural progress of the scene. And it was a really beautiful chime in that had kind of all of that sort of beautiful sort of timing. When you have a crew that really works together and gels together, they get to say things and sort of make contributions that are perfectly timed. And that was the one where I was like, ooh, yes, delicious, perfect, on beat, perfect intonation, absolutely the right time. Doesn't take away from this moment that Gina as Exio is sharing with Dr. Redgrave. You know, just that perfect supportive
nice little cherry on top of the emotional scene.
So good.
Beautiful.
All right.
But yes,
now we may talk about the Tellarite.
Definitely not Thomas Maroney.
Now we may talk about my father.
Denbolch Larami.
Me and Gina both sitting there having an entire one emotion.
Talking about your boy and the feelings of Jiv and everyone being very emotional.
I can't imagine why Gina would be into Bolians and Tellarites having conversations.
Who knows?
Shields of Tomorrow, for those of you who aren't getting the reference.
So yes, it was a fun chat, especially about the 2 warp cores and getting slightly yelled at, but also the fact that yelling at each other is how Tellarites become friends.
I love that aside. I love that moment from Xander being like, yeah, I really hope I pitched that right from the Tellarite talk, because you could see he was getting angry. He was engaging in that Tellarite way, giving back as good as he got to Larami. And it's like, Yes, exactly. And I love that Eric had also managed to sort of play it off as being like, oh, actually, like, Bolians are all right. I thought you guys were really, like, obnoxiously friendly, and I'd hate that. But
Yeah.
you're okay. He's like,
I love it. It's like, oh, you can be really rude. Amazing.
yeah, it
I
was
think-
perfect.
I think my favorite bit is when he was like, "Oh, thanks for telling me. If only I was qualified." And I'm like, "Oh, yes, yes."
I love Tellarites very much. I
And
love the way
then-
Eric plays Tellarites.
Yes, but also the bit where he then was like, "You've got to promise you won't eject both of them at once," and Beck being like, "Yeah, absolutely," and his narrator, he was absolutely going to eject both warp cores at once.
It was really funny because as soon as the character came on screen and started talking, I just sat limp back on the couch. Tellarite.
they're a little bit obvious, but I loved the whole notion that like Tech as a Bolian, very kind of keen to be hospitable and friendly, and having that kind of like, oh good, I've worked out the Tellarites need to be like you need aggression, but because I'm so about relating well to other species, I will match aggression with aggression. I love that element of characterization, and I think Xander and Eric played off really well in that moment in a way that makes me excited to see hopefully more Tellarites and
Yeah, for sure.
more of Tech trying to make friends with species that are difficult to make friends with. Like, I want to see Tech versus a Klingon. I want to see Tech versus a Romulan. I really want to see
punch
that.
a Klingon.
I want to see Tech become
Oh.
like the ranger equivalent of the D&D party, where you come across a monster and is like massive, like evil demon fiend from hell, friend.
Jem'Hadar. Friend.
I don't want to see Tech punch a Klingon because I think that Tech's hand would come off worse in that fight. Do you know who I do want to see?
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see Tech punch a Klingon softly in the mouth with his mouth.
Oh, absolutely. Do you know who I want? Do you know who I want to see punch a Klingon? Jane Lacutte, who's got a sneaky, pretty high security score.
Yeah.
Yes, my gal.
We don't know what the fitness is though.
No, that's cool. It may be a phases at 10 paces kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that I am very about trying to find out what is under everyone's hood, what makes everyone's tick, what mechanically is going on with that.
Why is she
But I
called
think we
Jane?
But we should talk a little, like, mysteries that may never be answered. What we should talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely come up and you know it, Kato. Also, that's a level 5 like character backstory option. You have.
Oh yeah. I have not progressed my friendship enough. I need to give Lacat more gifts. Here is treats for your otter.
Diminishing rewards. So you got to be
Okay.
careful about which ones you use.
A Wompat. What we should talk about before we get totally off topic is the ship. So we've talked about the narrative, in-game kind of flow onto like everyone joining the bridge. We should talk about that outro though, with our beautiful shots of.
Ooh, girl.
Do you think that outro is going to
Exterior-
now become the new intro?
I believe it is meant to be becoming the new intro.
Ooh, I would love that, but I don't want to lose that fantastic character
wanna
arc
get
that we've been having.
But what we want is have like where it has each of the person's names, have like a green screened version of the art
Mhm.
at the front with the background still being the ship floating by. You want to get
Yeah.
a combination.
A god can dream. Anyway, yes, that
And-
outro was so beautiful and so Trek and so it's just so evocative of like the TNG intro and all of that. It just very made you feel Space the Final Frontier. And also, Leland Cox is a genius. My God, it's so overwhelming
Leland
and
killing
beautiful.
it.
Oh, it's so good. I'm so upset.
I could-
but in the best
I-
way.
I could cry from that music alone.
Right.
And we have seen a little bit more of the Ross. I think there's still a lot to unpack as far as like her capabilities, what's going on with kind of everything that she's got built into the hood. You know, there's lots of sort of throwaway references to things like cetacean ops that have been taken and sort of run with by the crew. But I don't want to get into any of that right now because I think it's much better to talk about what we've seen and to let things kind of unpack narratively as we go
Yeah.
through the show. That said, the Ross is very beautiful. Whisper it quietly, folks. I don't like her neck. She's got a classic galaxy neck.
It's very spindly.
I don't like it. And I think the reason
Kato's
she's got the classic.
controversial opinion corner.
Well, I've already said it previously. I'm not a huge fan of Federation ship design.
Oh no, see, I like being a classic, like I do love the way they look. I love the smoothness of the lines. I love the white and blue. I'm very much about them. I'm not a sharp angles person when it comes to ship design. I do love the Federation ships. I love the roundness of them. I love the smooth edges. I love their like weird like kind of semi-apple design that they've got going on.
Yeah.
But that neck doesn't look sturdy enough to support the saucer section. And I know that the reason for that is that it doesn't support the saucer section because the saucer section can detach. But it gives me stress.
It's Space Cato. There's no weight.
Yeah. There is still gravity in space.
Yes. But it doesn't matter because it's magic space Star Trek nonsense.
Anyway, I prefer the Intrepid class look. I think it's much prettier. And I prefer actually like I prefer the Sovereign to the Galaxy in lots of ways. If we're just talking about classic Star Trek, you know, sort of like slightly bi-hull with the saucer and the roundness of it. Do you know what I love though? I do love the Shenzhou. The Shenzhou has a really good design with that upside down bridge look. I love that. But if we're just talking Federation ships, I am a sucker for a little bit of roundness and a little bit of. I'm very Doctor Who. I like round things. I love round things.
Cato likes things that are shaped like a friend.
Indeed.
Let's talk about someone who is potentially shaped like a friend. Not sure as yet. Macrel.
Macrel is shaped like a friend.
I don't know.
I like her a lot.
Well, no, I like Macrel, absolutely. I don't think Macrel is shaped like a friend.
Yeah, I mean, she's shaped like a cat, and cats are evil, so...
Yeah, there you go.
Don't let Helen hear you say that.
Cato's allergic to cats. Cato has strong cat opinions.
Mitch also has strong cat opinions. But it's very interesting to see where Bonnie's going with Macrel.
The voice is such a beautiful and strong character choice that has a very different energy to the characters I've seen Bonnie play in the past, which I'm really looking forward to seeing how that works for her and seeing how she sort of like fits into that role, because I think it is a much calmer and sort of lower energy, sort of much more sort of thoughtful. And I really
like low-key sinister aspect.
Yeah, but I think we may be reading into that. I liked that when she went to deal with a Romulan patient, she was very patient focused. You know, first question in there with, is he in any pain? Do I need to do anything as a doctor before I worry about the other aspects of my job as far as gathering data? I really liked that, and
I thought
basically
that was really nice.
That got me on board straight away. I was like, yep, good, fine. You know,
Cato
if you have
continues to have strong doctor opinions.
I really do. Like the only way you could improve it is if he was conscious to ask him himself rather than asking anyone else. I really dislike patient interactions where you go and there's someone like conscious in front of you and you turn to the person next to them and go, "Are they in any pain?" And you're like, right there. You could just ask them. But he probably wasn't conscious at that point.
I don't even think they were conscious at all yet. Oh no, they were briefly to talk to Asri.
Yeah, there are briefly some conversations about getting them like onto the Ross and sort of pushing that sort of forward. But yeah, I really liked that. I like that we are definitely seeing a very different take from Throllo, but hopefully not seeing a bad doctor, because I don't know how I would deal with a bad doctor. I do actually really like Pulaski from the second season of TNG, because actually she's a really good and thoughtful character who is sort of very much more in a sort of Bones style and than Crusher, who's kind of just so obviously lovely. And I think there's a lot to be said for those different types of Doctor, because Pulaski, like, although she doesn't believe in data sentience and she sort of needs to come around to that, she is very patient-centered and patient-focused, and you get to see that, like, not being as approachable and like soft and lovely and motherly as Dr. Crusher doesn't make her a bad doctor.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, the only reason she is so disliked is because she takes against one of the most loved characters and because she replaces Dr. Crusher. And possibly a little bit because some aspects of fandom may have more of a problem with an unattractive woman, like, of a certain age being grumpy and unapproachable than they do when it's DeForest Kelly or Keith or Carl Urban. being grumpy and unapproachable.
But that's not a topic for today's conversation.
No. But
I'm fascinated to find out what Macrell's specialty is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm vibing surgery.
Yeah, I mean, so again, like, there are some generalizations you can make about the way that medical characters are and are portrayed, and tragically, some of those do pertain to real life. I have, to my shame, had crushes on 2 orthopedic surgeons in my time. I know trauma and orthopedics, which is like has a stereotype. Has a stereotype.
Emotionally unavailable?
No, they were both lovely.
That's ship captains. Sorry.
That's ship captains. Emotionally unavailable ship captains. But yeah, the point is, like, trauma orthopedics has a bit of a reputation for being like very sort of slapdash, very like, well, we go in there, we fix it, bosh, it's like less intelligent and with a hammer than like the very refined, like the neurosurgeons are off doing like the very delicate work, or the like rheumatologists are doing really complicated stuff that no one understands. But I genuinely, this trauma and orthopedic surgeon she was so hot. She was so good. She was so hot.
Okay.
But she had a really, really beautiful kind of thing where she asked someone to get her a knife, like a scalpel, because this guy was not very well, and she needed a knife or a scalpel. And they went and got it for her, and she like had done a whole bunch of other things because this guy was not very well. And they were like, "I've got this thing for you," like, and she was like, "What? What is it?" And they were like, "It's the scalpel." And she's like, "Why are you giving me this?" And then like the theatre tech was like, "It's the sharp thing for cutting into the patient." She's like, "Got it. Right. I remember asking for that now." And then she took it and like she was like, You've got to get on my level. You gotta get like, and genuinely, like, she was really lovely. She's really smart. Like, she's a consultant orthopedic surgeon. She knows her stuff. It was really great because she was like, "Yeah, just I don't understand why you're giving this. Oh, it's the sharp thing for cutting. Like, yeah, got it."
What I like to say about doctors is a good example, but kind of anybody at the peak of their profession that ends up being very highly specialized is that they've had to make room in their brain for the really important, highly specialized stuff. And so the bottom end stuff, the other end, comes out. So the word scalpel is no longer in her vernacular. She's got no fucking clue what a scalpel is anymore.
This man is dying in front of her. You need to be really straightforward about what you're giving her. She was beautiful. It may say a lot that both of the orthopedic surgeons I've had crushes on are women. They may just be nicer.
So yes, but we love Macrell.
I'm really curious.
The crew really well. We've had some great interactions between them. I think Macrell and
oh dear, Eric is rating.
Eric is rating us.
Oh dear. Oh no.
Rating us for Kato's first talk about orthopedic surgeons, which is not necessarily where we want to be.
Yeah, not really where we want to be after that, but that's okay. So Macrell, I think she complements the crew really well. I really like. Yes. I think it's always going to happen with Bonnie and Xander, is that their characters are gonna get along, and they're gonna have great back and forths.
This team is gelling so nicely. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I want to just add, like, I felt really bad for Bonnie because you could see she wanted to be contributing and helpful in that fight.
For sure.
But she was
unfortunately
with Romulan. Like, she was with the Romulan protecting the asset, and I really was like, I want to see more of Bonnie because I feel like even though this was our first episode for her, I really feel like it was so upsetting to me that she was out last week because she was sick, because there was just that little bit of like, I am still getting to know Macrell as a character, whereas all of the other characters I've moved on to enjoying how they mesh together and enjoying seeing their interactions. Sarah was still like, I'm still trying to get a sense of who this character is. So I cannot wait to skip forward to that point where I know her as well as I know everyone else, because I'm so excited.
Absolutely. And I think now I think it is time to talk about our good sons.
Yes, the first of my ships.
The first of your ships.
Prowl and Vren.
Prowl and Vren, first of their name.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the portmanteau ship name is for them, but I'm excited.
One. Yeah. We're not making one. I'm drawing a line in the sand now. It is early days. There are no portmanteaus. They are banned. They don't exist.
We need some like kind of like albino goose thing that goes off like the two things we know about.
Like,
Like
that's
we
fine.
know.
I like ship names like that, but if you stick their names together, I will take out my headphone and walk away.
I mean,
Fuck this.
for the fun of it, because of the Jem'Hadar thing, 2 at a time. And also, the ship splits into 2, so like flying both of those things 2 at a time.
Okay. Okay. I think it's a little bit overworked, but we can work on it.
Yeah.
The point that we want to make about them is that obviously they are perfect for each other because their character arcs are so beautifully entwined. They're such good mirrors of each other. And we
Yeah,
have that this episode. We have Olin and Prowl having this heart to heart where we have Prowl kind of opening up about his history, that he used to be in love with exploration, and that he's kind of overwhelmed with the scars from the Dominion War, and he's closed himself off and become that kind of quiet, perfect soldier.
What's
And
that?
that he has a
a
lot-
sad, quiet boy with a tragic backstory? Do go on.
Oh, untitled ship
Yeah.
name. I like that.
Oh my god.
Titled ship name.
I
Also,
do like
amazing.
that.
Still, no, we don't have to make portmanteaus. We make a difference. We take a stand and we move on as a society.
Oh, and Eric, I'm not an actor, Campbell, but
I'm
actually
not an actor, but actually I was an actor for 22 years,
Yeah.
Campbell. The
with,
very same.
with the Explorer Prowl didn't make it out the war.
Oh my god. I literally folded into myself and screamed before I could continue.
If you ever want just to like a fun time, is to go back and just watch that and focus on a different member of the crew each time, and just
Mhm.
watch the way literally all of them are like, okay, well now this is our boy. We are gonna find Explorer Prowl. It is top of the list. You can see literally all of them go, right. Well, we're fixing that.
Yep, that's a
It's
thing that
just-
is not happening anymore.
It's
It
like,
was
what
so-
was our mission in the Shackleton Expanse? Sorry, we've no idea what that is now. This is the new Prime Directive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was tops.
topped only by Azuri and Vren, and we learn in that kind of moment where they go out to lunch together because Azuri is trying to work out why Vren is causing problems and not doing the reading that he needs to do to like get familiar with all the senior staff. And we get a sense from them that Vren is also putting up walls. Vren is also projecting an exterior to cope with what he has been through in his life.
So
And-
I'm just gonna read.
What's that? A sad boy that uses humor to deflect from his pain? Do go on.
So I'm going to read from we have notes obviously for every episode. I'm going to read directly 100% Kato's notes for this. Do you know what they could do? Question mark. They could help each other heal while falling in love.
Listen, there is
Untitled
a
ship name.
untitled ship name. There is a 100k fanfic out there for this.
There is not, and that is the single saddest thing in my life.
No, there
If
is
anyone,
technically it's not a fanfic if it's the canon show. I was about to say it's Clear Skies. This is the slow burn fanfic
Not
we've
yet.
all been waiting for. However,
I think we are having a lot of stuttering. So
I think we're
I'm
having a lot
gonna-
of sorry.
right.
Fortunately, that's not much I can do about it right now.
Right, cool.
So we will continue
right.
on.
We're very sorry about the
We
stuttering.
are sorry about slurring. We'll hopefully be gone next time.
Yeah, we don't understand what's going on, and we would like to make it stop, but we are just powerless. Like I am powerless not to talk about Untitled Ship Name, my favorite ship.
But
I
we
will
are
never.
Okay.
We are going to move on and have a chat about Azuri and the way that they lead this crew.
oh, it's so
Ugh.
good.
It's such a fascinating approach, and I was actually having a chat with a friend of mine today about Azuri and how you can't really say in the way that Martinez was very much a Kirk-like captain.
Mm.
Boldly going, being that front face, being that commanding operative. But there's no comparison for Azuri. You could say Cisco a little bit in that friendliness and ability to connect with the crew, but we don't yet know if that other side of Cisco also is reflected in Azuri. I mean, yes, maybe. Intelligence. Hey.
I was going to be a very bad person and suggest that the two captains I'm most reminded of, that Azuri most reminds me of, are the two from the first season of Discovery.
Giorgio and Lorca.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Giorgio.
Yeah.
But again, we only got very small amounts from Giorgio. Because,
Yeah.
you know, spoilers, she dead.
But I like yeah, I think it is too soon to really start making those comparisons. Like,
Yeah,
we
for
have
sure.
so much, we have a year of content with Martinez, and Hector was not playing those cards close to his chest.
No.
Not at all.
What
Not at all.
the extent to which Azuri is or isn't like any of the other captains will kind of come out as we see everyone sort of learn their command style, and Sam, to a certain extent, learn who they are through play.
Yeah, for sure.
What I think we can say absolutely is Azuri does not like meetings.
No.
And we have
That's
a very
rude.
quick. We have this change from Shield of Tomorrow where we had, particularly early on, we had quite long meetings with lots of debating. We see Azuri take command and take control of a meeting room very quickly and just obtain opinions from their crew and then very quickly make a decision. They get everyone to chip in and they kind of push a little bit for hearing different people and what they think, but they aren't going, let's talk about this and then talk about it again and debate. They're going, right, okay, let me hear your thoughts. Does anyone have any suggestions? What are they? Great. Okay, I've listened to all of that. Here is my decision. Execute my orders. And I feel like that is a lesson everyone has learned from Shield of Tomorrow, that we can't have, unless there is a very good reason to have a long debate, like, unless there is something that is absolutely needs to be discussed and we need to hear people trying to convince each other. If it's something less consequential like this, it is much better to have that element of the captain going, I'm going to make this decision. You're going to, I trust you to see it through.
There's a reason I'm the captain, and it's because I make decisions. But I also think with this style of meeting, hopefully if we get a bit more of this going forward, it will be that sometimes, like you said, when there is a really necessary reason to have these much longer RP'd discussions and meetings, that they will be much more impactful rather than something that we feel like we kind of just have to sit through and kind of slog. So I think, yes, we're seeing some really nice subtle changes in Clear Skies from Shield of Tomorrow that are going to make it a much slicker and tighter kind of performance all round. And I think this was one of the really, like a really good one early on and a good decision, whether it was subconscious or not, to make this decision to have these kind of shorter meetings. I think it's definitely like one of the better ones they could have made.
So I think on top of that, and this will relate into kind of further discussion, is these shorter meetings work in part because that's the style they're going for, but also in part that Azuri trusts implicitly their senior staff. And it's almost as immediate, okay, you have your opinion, cool, trusting that 100% onto the next one. Opinion, done. But then we see that reflected as well in the way that they're leading their crew on missions. In that it was, no, I completely trust Exio to handle that. I completely trust Vren to handle that.
It's very delegated.
Which is how it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I think it gives a confidence. And I think there's a lot to be said for Martinez's style, which is sort of checking in and making sure stuff gets done and sort of trying to be supportive. But your captain is not your pastoral care. Your captain shouldn't be your pastoral care. Like, Exio, because of their sort of like background as a counselor, has a lot of potential to be that kind of like pastoral care. But even then, it's a little bit of a stretch. And I have seen like lots of ships where the first mate is and sort of second in command, which is what Exio is that person that does all of the, how is everyone feeling? Let's take the temperature. And the captain is just, no, they make decisions, they hand them down. But I think seeing Azuri be like, no, I trust you, do this, would be really affirming for me as a junior officer, to not have a captain who was watching, like, what, you know, looking over my shoulder the whole time, and to really get a sense that I was trusted. I also want to sort of like add on to that. It might well be that they have discussed plans before they get on screen, or that they have discussed explicitly what it is going to be like under Azuri as a captain and how they deal with making decisions. Because Eric has talked about the complicated nature of Star Trek, and having a person who is a captain and therefore has rank on everyone else, and having that inequality within the players can lead to tension. And so I think if they've talked about it, particularly if they've talked about it more or taken lessons from S.H.I.E.L.D. in that regard about how to manage that and how to keep all the players feeling like they can contribute, even though one of them is explicitly in charge, hopefully that will lead to sort of more of this sort of stuff where we can have a captain's decision that doesn't lead to anyone sort of feeling left out or like they're not valued.
Absolutely. And I think from narratively, it's a very interesting thing, because this has been Azuri senior staff for less than a week. And it's just already, Azuri says, I'm going forward with a strong mind. I've read up on them. I understand them already. I've got the intelligence. That's my thing. I believe in them.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
it's really nice to see, because often you get with like senior members of staff, not just in Starfleet but in general, of the you have to earn my respect, rather than this way round, which is you already have my respect, and then you might lose it. But it's that implicit trust of I already trust and respect you. You will have to work to remove that from me than earn it in the first place, which I really really like. And I think it then gives everybody else that kind of boost, like Kato was saying about being a junior officer that feels trusted by your captain. Also, then to A, trust your captain back, and B, trust your other officers, because if the captain trusts them, then you should also do the same. And I think it brings people together in a way, in a camaraderie type fashion that you wouldn't necessarily see under a different style of command.
It's super interesting. I think, especially considering the fact that Azri and Exio are both built with kind of supporting other characters in mind. But then, like, even more, we kind of saw coming in clutch, especially when it came the latter half of the episode, Lakat.
Yeah, I do. Lakat is so built as a support character. Like, there are a couple of things that Lakat has, like the duty and discipline Cardassian trait, which I'm not sure if they used correctly entirely in the episode, and I haven't gone back to watch because I just don't have time right now. But I will. So when they assist a superior, that generates a bonus momentum, which possibly was being used as a reroll, but that may just be me misremembering. Certainly Lakat has this beautiful sort of ability that really supports them, really supports her as the most junior officer apart from Tech, is that they are very, very good at supporting seniors and very, very good at bringing assists. And I am all about Lakat's build because I think it is a very, very, very well done build. I do just want to jump back to talking about how Exio was in charge.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we talked about Azuri, we talked about how hands off they are, we talked about them kind of going in and dealing with a problem. As soon as they recognize that Vren is not going to be living up to the expectations they have for their home officer, they take him to lunch and they go, "We have a problem. How are we gonna fix it?" Exio also has the capacity to go, Vren has his orders. I don't need to know what they are. The plausible deniability is better. Let's let that happen. And then has lots of really good command focuses that really help to build on how they lead their team. And they are also making quick decisions in that combat and sort of giving instructions to Tech and being supportive of lots of those choices. So we see another command character who's very good in that leadership role. And I was like, yes, good. This is exactly what you want. You want multiple people whose leadership is really shining through.
And there seems to be this element of wanting to, like, again, I think this is in part Exio's want to meet and learn and explore new people, but also in their kind of position as like a counselor is developing and growing these junior officers. And also, I just want to note how adorable it is that all of Exio's focuses are thing.exe.
Oh,
yeah,
it's so cute.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. One moment that I actually really liked between Exio and Azuri was when everybody was on the shuttlecraft going up to the Ross, and Exio turned to Azuri and said, "Welcome home, Captain." And Azuri said the same thing back, and it was a very, very touching moment of, oh, my heart, wholesome, cute. Yes.
But also on the shuttle, on the shuttle, and also in the ship itself, Vren sitting down in a pilot seat, being like, I feel normal now. I have ship. I'm just like this. That's a good boy.
That's a fly boy. That's a good fly boy.
He's a mess, and I love him. I really love Exio and Azuri. I like the dynamic they're building as a senior staff. I like Sam and Gina just work together so well and play off each other. And I like seeing this. Boom, captain's instructions. I'm going to follow them. I can make decisions and I can build things on the fly. And I really liked that both Sam and Gina were very much not shying away from that command aspect. They were very much going, I'm making a choice. Here is the choice. Like choosing to cut Tech's hand at that point, and all of the assists around sort of hacking and stuff that sort of Exio was providing, they were all really good choices that it may feel like when someone is like, I'm going to assist you with that, or I'm going to take the initiative here and I'm going to cut your hand. You might be like in a slightly more hostile game or a game that wasn't quite so good at group dynamics, particularly group dynamics with a command structure. You would have that sort of flaw where someone's like, I don't want you to cut my hand. But everyone was like, yep, I'm on board. You're my senior officer. You've made this choice. And Gina was like, I'm not going to discuss it. You could see that it wasn't like, I have this idea. Are you cool with me going for it? It's just like, no, I've made this choice. I'm command, so I get to make this action first. Boom. Look at that. That solved the problem. Which is this really beautiful... It's this nice way where you have RP that actually fits into the roles that you are playing. So you're not having a captain who's going, guys, out of character. I just want to talk about, like, is this decision okay? Like, it's good to have those discussions during downtime and off stream, but sort of having the quick nature of the decisions that the command staff are made be mirrored by the choices that their players are making is that really nice synergy between two different levels of the RP.
Absolutely, and it is wonderful to watch, and I'm fascinated to see where it goes further. Now, I just need to put my shit posting hat on for a minute.
Okay. Brace yourselves.
Brace yourselves. Any of the artists watching, if you could draw Ezio as an assassin from Assassin's Creed...
Listen.
Because Ezio Auditore is a thing that I need to see with my brain eyes.
This is the thing that I've been saying for the whole episode. Every fucking time somebody said her name, in the background I was like, Ezio Auditore de Firenze, and Mitch was getting sick of my shit.
But now I need it. I need it in my life.
You're all welcome.
You're all welcome. Shitposting hat goes off.
If there's one thing we know about these fans and these beautiful people, it's that they are very fond of memes.
Yeah.
So
somebody... The closest I'm going to be able to do is to Photoshop Gina's face onto fucking Ezio from Assassin's Creed. And I'm sure somebody can do a better job than that. So...
Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about?
The stage, I just would like to point out that yes, the stage is set, and I'm very excited.
Absolutely.
We're going to space!
So I think as far as everything goes, we'll be continuing at this time slot next week. We're going to try and keep it under an hour next time because we do run up quite a bit against Long Beach by Night, almost to the very wire. So next week, we will be off raiding that. But for everyone who has followed... Sorry, Kato?
We could raid tonight, right? Like...
I mean, I don't think they're doing anything.
I think it starts next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
It starts next week, but I don't think there's anything after us on queue times tonight.
Not at the moment, because I believe Long Beach starts next week.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, things are happening.
Schedules are a mystery to me.
Schedules are a mystery.
Yeah, but also, like, we'd like to keep it under an hour because we have things to do and lives to lead. This is really fun, but I have to, like, get my rats out and feed them, so...
Yeah. So, otherwise, thanks to everyone for following, both on Twitter and on Twitch. We're going to be looking at doing some other non-this stuff at some stage. We're all very busy, unfortunately. I think...
Imagine having free time.
Imagine having free time. But we might be, myself and Kato, talking RPGs. It might be someone playing games. This one
they
just
want me to shitpost and play Dragon Age. I hope you're all ready for me to make exactly the same decisions 8 times in a row.
But regardless, that's it from me.
Who are you again?
Oh, I'm Mitch. That's a great reminder, Kato. I'm Mitch. You can find me at Kung Fu Panzer on all of the places.
I'm Az. You can find me at Captain Tiny on all of the things, but there's sometimes an underscore in weird places because people stole my username. Twitter is Captain_Tiny, and that's probably the best place to hang out and chat. Follow for memes.
What about you, Kato?
I'm Kato, aka Kato, and you can find me at Kato, aka Kato.
On everything.
On all the things.
Yeah, except I'm only Kato, aka Kudo on the Discord because of Uppy. It's hard.
Your pronouns are Q/Q.
Q's pronouns are Q.
I know.
It.
Always respect Q's self.
Yes, exactly. If I could get away with having the pronouns QQ and Q in real life, like I would be so tempted. Until that glorious day, I will remain they them. Well, I guess the only
Kato, I have one question to ask you.
Oh, for me?
Yeah, for you, Kato.
For you, Kato.
What's the forecast for tomorrow?
The forecast for tomorrow is clear skies.
Thank you, everyone. See you later.